All right, we're here with part 1 of 2, talking with ATN and Steve Lemenov. We're talking day-night vision, all that right here on Gun Talk Hunt. All right, welcome in, Gun Talk Hunters. I know you guys are probably busy out in the field doing your thing, and I'm here in studio, which is good. I haven't been back in a while, but today, the Gun Talk Hunt is brought to you by Sig Sauer. Yeah, they do a little bit of everything. If you're looking for ammo, if you're looking for an AR, they definitely do that, and they know how to do it well. So give them a look. Today, though, it's all about hunting. It's hunting seasons. Deer seasons are kicking off everywhere. And I've already been out in the field quite a bit. But today we're going to talk about ATN and what we've got going on. We've got Steve Lemenov joining us. Steve, how you doing?
I'm doing well, KJ. Thanks so much for having me on the program.
Oh, it's good to have you, man. I'm telling you what, it's been a couple of weeks, and it's a good thing that I've gotten ahead on posting some of these videos, because you guys would have hated me last week. I was in a mood. I was in a flu mood. I tell you what, Steve, I don't know, like, you've probably done crazy stuff like this, but it's all in the name of good hunting and for your kids. But I thought it was a great idea to get back from Alaska 2 days later, hop in a truck, drive all night, was up for 36 hours, take the kids hunting, go for another hunt, and then another one on Sunday morning, then drive back. Well, my body said, no. No, you get the flu.
Well, we're not as young as we used to be anymore, or as young as we think we are. So yeah, that break time and rest time is valuable for us, right?
It really is. And man, I stayed at a shady motel, and maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know, but I'm telling you what, like, that the flu this year, if you guys, I'm very hesitant in getting jabbed with anything, but if I had to do it all over again, I may have gotten the flu shot if I'd known it was going to be that bad. Steve, I hope you haven't gotten this.
No, actually, I've been traveling to Texas and Georgia and other places in the last several months, and I've been fortunate, and I haven't got ill with the flu or anything. So,
man,
typically I don't get the flu shot. So I guess I'm lucky that way.
I don't either. I haven't gotten any shots. And so now I'm kind of sitting there going like, well, I've already got the flu over with, I guess. So that's good. But yeah, so last Monday, I didn't get out of bed, and I mean, body aches, the whole 9 yards. Tuesday, I shuffled into the kitchen and decided that's not where I needed to be. I need to be back in bed. So I, shuffle my way back in. Wednesday, I put on pants. That was like the big thing of the
achievement.
Week. Dude, that was an achievement. I really was impressed with myself. I was very happy. I was like, yes, I put on pants today. Because ideally what I wanted to do, I wanted to turn back around, turn and burn the trip and go back to Oklahoma for muzzleloader season. But Thursday, I made it to the couch. And that's a short, 20-foot walk or whatever it is. But I did put on pants that day too. So I put on pants and I made it to the couch. And then Thursday night, I kid you not, I sweat through the sheets. Like, it was so bad. I thought I had an accident in the sheets. Like, it was awful. Like, I couldn't imagine, like I had to almost wring the sheets out. Like, I was like, I'm sorry, sweetheart. Like, I'll do the laundry. Like, but I sweat through the fever. Friday,
well, I'm glad you're finally back on your feet and up and running.
I'm telling you, it's brutal. And I hope, and I know you've got small kids. I've got small kids, and they're just little germ factories in themselves. So spending all weekend with them, I'm sure didn't help me, because they probably brought every single germ home from school.
Yep.
That's how it goes. I mean, it's just, it's that time of year. Just everybody be healthy, get your exercise, take your vitamins, like that. This is your public service announcement from someone who has lived through the crap. Like someone I'm a pretty healthy guy. But my gosh, it was brutal. What made it even worse, Steve, and I'll tell you this. What made it even worse is that I got the flu on top of not really seeing any deer or wildlife. Like we had hogs around us, they just didn't commit. And we saw two doe at the last light. And my oldest son, I was like, buddy, it's your call. And he decided, nope, I'm not gonna shoot. I'm
Is
gonna let him
it
go.
youth rifle season, or is it
Yep.
just full blown season right now where you're at in
Youth
Oklahoma?
rifle season and youth gun season. And yeah, I do it every year and take them out. And now it's getting harder and harder. Because it's, when in early hunting season, especially, anywhere near the South. And I kind of I don't classify Oklahoma as a southern state, but it's kind of southern central. I mean, it's kind of central. It was 96 degrees.
Wow.
And that's and when you're hunting in those conditions, I mean, you're hunting in, like, my boys were hunting in shorts and a t-shirt. Anytime that happens, man, the deer don't want to move. The hogs really don't want to move. All movement is based on evening, and that's a good thing we're talking to you, because ATN makes all kinds of things to make your life easier at nighttime. But again, we can't hunt, whitetail or big game animals at night.
True, but Twilight, using our digital products like Excite will definitely give you an advantage because the advanced sensors and those, hour to 30 minutes of Twilight, if, a doe or a nice buck comes out, you'd still be able to pick them up with, with the scopes. Granted, it's legal in your state. We want to reiterate that, check your local regs and check with your local game wardens to make sure that you can use electro optics in your state for deer hunting, because not all states are equal, and not all states allow you to do that with this type of product. So, you do have an advantage. Glass is great, especially if you have a really good glass that has great light transmission and still able to see well during twilight hours as the sun starts setting and it gets a little darker. But with digital optics, even with twilight hours, you still get to see a really good crisp picture of the target and the surrounding area.
Well, and what's interesting about that is with the naked eye. So think about this, and I'm gonna go back to the youth hunt and kind of talk about the experience there, and where it would have been nice to have like an Excite 4K Pro or a Thor LT or a Thor 4, any of your optics. We were hunting in a blind. And so this was it's an old Darkwoods blind that I've got, which, quick shout out to them, because I bought one of the originals that came back, and they sold into I believe it's the Vista Outdoor program, and Primos bought or something like that. But anyway, years and years, it got destroyed. They refurbed my blind. Like, it's a lifetime guarantee, and they legit like refurbed it. And it is, I only take that out on special occasions, which youth season gives you a little bit extra movement. What it does is it cuts your light. I mean, especially in the waning twilight hours and the waning minutes of shooting light, you lose. I would hate to venture a guess on percentage of light transmission you lose going into your optics. And that's where the electronic sights like an ATN Excite 4K Pro would have been beautiful, because I wouldn't have had to worry about the light transmission into that front objective.
Yeah, absolutely. The new Excite LTV, which is a little smaller and lighter, version of the Excite 4K Pro will do the same with the advanced QHD plus sensor as well. So definitely an advantage for those folks that live in states that allow these types of products. Definitely something to consider. Maybe for next deer spring season.
Yeah, and what is interesting too is we weren't hunting under a canopy in thick woods or thick vegetation or anything like that. We were hunting out in the open, and I noticed a very big difference on how much light that optic was gathering. And it's not a bad optic, but it's just not an electronic optic that'll, like, it's producing your image, like it's filtering its transmission, right? I mean,
Right.
it's transmitting that IR light essentially, which extends. You're not extending. You can't extend your time limits. Like, by the state of Oklahoma, I could have shot until, I forget what the time it was, but let's say 6:20. Like, what you're doing is, by not having like an electronic sight or something like that, is that you're extending like a better shot, because my
Yeah,
son could see the deer,
right, right.
but it wasn't going to be as precise. And I think that's where we're going back to, is you're not, oh, I could shoot that deer 2 minutes after light. Yeah, you could, but that's not legal.
Right, right. Absolutely.
You're just you're extending your clarity on target, which I think is an understatement, and what people tend to lose sight of, because when you're talking about hunting from a blind, and let's say you're under a canopy and you're under, so that cuts down your light automatically. So as that sun's going down and it kind of dips below that canopy, okay, you're losing, let's say, 20 minutes of light, and now you're in a blind. So that's even darker. So let's say it knocks off 5 extra minutes. With what Steve's got throughout the entire ATN lineup, that gives you until legal shooting light with a clear, crisp picture.
And also, you could actually record, and if you have your time set up on your optic, you could record and make sure you are within legal time limits. And if there's any question of it, you have a video proof of when the shot was taken. And if there's any question or a doubt about it, you could always have evidence saying, hey, I recorded this my hunting experience, and I was within legal hunting time frame.
So okay, we're going to take a real quick break right here, and we're going to talk about that very thing and how it might help you down the road right after this break. All right, we're brought to you by Franchi, Franchi. Franchi. All right, now that we got the spelling out of the way, let's talk about their guns. Superior ergonomics and feel, all Italian tradition. That is the Franchi Momentum Elite. Talk about a little slick gun right here. Evolved Ergonom X. So that's it feels right. And it's MOA guaranteed, like all guns should be. It's got the Relia trigger, an adjustable single stage trigger, can be adjusted from 2 to 4 pounds. I like to keep my hunting rifles typically right around the 2.5 pound range. Any lower than that, and it's almost just a little too touchy for me. But it's nice to have a range from 2 to 4 pounds. And TSA recoil pad, making a soft shooting gun. It's got a 7-year limited warranty, so all that good stuff. It does come with a muzzle brake, so don't worry there. So it's going to be soft kicking with the recoil pad, the muzzle brake. You've got it all right there. Find out more at franchiusa.com. All right, we're back with Steve Lemenov of ATN. We're talking about everything night, and as we left off at the break, what we were talking about, and Steve brought up, and I hadn't even thought about this, but the legality of shooting light. Because your next door neighbor, or maybe it's a guy that he's just disgruntled that you got a shot. What's great with, most all the ATN products is that you do have the capability to record that shot, and it'll timestamp it. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. Yeah, as long as you set up the time correctly, in the system, and you hit the record button, that's timestamp will show up on the video of your hunt, and you can have pretty much evidence of when you took that shot and that you were within legal time frame.
Yeah. I just thought I always think of the recording as it's preserving the memory of the hunt.
That always, which is I think it's very important. But as you mentioned, sometimes you have disgruntled other hunters or people that for whatever reason don't want to be nice to others and want to turn somebody in to the game wardens, you always have something to lean back and say, hey, I have this optic, granted that it's legal to use in that state, and the optic. Once, you're recording your hunt, not only is it a lifetime memory of your hunting experience, let's say with your child, if it's youth season or if it's regular season, but you have the timestamp to show that, hey, I was within legal rights. I don't think there should be any question about, what happened, because I have the video to prove it.
Well, what's funny is that it's funny you should bring this up, because just a couple of days ago, how YouTube will sit there and it'll feed you videos that you might be interested in and all that stuff. Well, it was, hunter harassment. And so what happens is these guys are out hunting. Farmer from the field next door says, you're on my property. And they happen to be recording everything. They recorded it from top to finish and ended up helping them in a court of law. And the farmer was charged with hunter harassment, all because they have video evidence supporting what really happened. And then nowadays in technology, we are seeing it every day. Everything is recorded. Everything is, time stamped. Everything is documented. Why shouldn't your hunt be? Especially that shot. When that shot breaks, man, how nice is it to have a timestamp of, yes, that deer was taken at 5:56 and legal shooting limit ends at 6:02.
Right.
That's huge.
In today's world, you want to protect yourself because there's a lot of unscrupulous people that have different agendas, and as hunters, we want to be stewards of the land, and we want to make sure that we're protected as well, because we don't want to get in trouble, because getting in trouble with the game wardens, you could lose your hunting license, you could be banned for life depending on the circumstances. So if you want to maintain your rights and your traditions, might as well protect yourself in today's world, because things happen all the time.
Now, let's talk about some of the recording features that ATN offers, because it's a whole host of different. You guys have binos, you have binoculars, and you have scopes, obviously. What would you recommend for someone listening to the podcast that was like, man, that's a great idea, man? Maybe they can't afford the thermal. Maybe what would their entry level be? And which direction would you steer them to be able to record their hunt and to see what we see at night?
Well, with deer hunting, I wouldn't really recommend thermal, because you want that recognizable detail. You want to see the antlers and just the sheer experience of hunting during daylight hours or twilight hours, and seeing that buck with all its detail, I think is valuable. So I would definitely recommend something like our digital day-night scopes, like the X-Sight 4K Pro or the X-Sight LTV. Both those products have a recording capability in HD quality, video. You capture your hunt, you have the timestamp. If you have somebody with you, you could also have the binoculars that are both day and night, and also you could arrange to target and kind of guide the shooter, how far the target is, if they need to have holdover, depending on the setup. And the binoculars also have a recording capability, so you could have a secondary viewpoint or a second option of recording the hunt from, let's say, the spotter perspective versus the scope perspective as well. So there's many options from ATN, and you can definitely start with the X-Sight LTV, which starts about $549 retail, and work your way up. For that kind of money, you could expect to, spending on a traditional glass scope with no recording capability, or really no capability in terms of low light or night vision. For that kind of money, you could be, you could have a very good quality digital optic that can do so much more.
Yeah. And that's, you said something in there, and we were talking about like, seeing the features of the deer, because in large part, that's the season that we're in. And so we're going to really kind of focus in on whitetail, and let's talk a little bit about antler growth. early season, you may have pulled out your thermal and you said, man, I can see the antlers
velvet,
and I can see,
right?
well, but that's because they're growing them and there's
Right,
blood vessels pumping through,
right.
the velvet and all that. And so that's why you're able to see that. There have been a couple times on real hot days and then it turns really cold the next day. There have been times when I've been able to recognize antlers, but you don't get like the detail
Right.
that you do with the day night vision stuff.
Right. Absolutely.
But yeah, well, we're gonna kind of cut this one here because I want to revisit with Steve on a part two, and we're gonna talk about the additional benefits in part two of thermal use and on your hunting season and where that can become highly important. So make sure you tune in next week for part two of this one.
Yeah, definitely. Using thermal after the shot, we'll touch upon this in part two, is very valuable because of the things we'll outline. So stay tuned. Hope to see you guys next week and tune into the podcast, and we'll talk more about the benefits of using thermal technology and aiding in your hunts.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting one. Hey, guys, wherever you listen to your podcast, don't forget to like, comment, share, give us a review. We would love to hear from you guys. If you guys have any topics that you want to hear, make sure whatever you're listening to, just make sure go on, leave us a review. And always, as always, Gun Talk hunters, be aware of where those muzzles are pointed and always be on the hunt.